this is my video on rebuilding the C3 Corvette seat tracks. I don't have a set of tracks in the condition they were in before because I wasn't planning on making a video, but this track is sort of been rebuilt, so I'll just start from here. Okay, if all possible you want to disassemble them before you clean them up, sandblast them, or use a rust converter. It'll take them apart fairly easily. You want to take a 3/16 drill bit. You want to drill out, this is the front. Over here, the larger flange is the front. Some C3s will have different flanges, but the front one's usually larger. You want to drill out the back, only the back top rivet with a 3/16 drill bit. You'll drill that out. Then you'll use a 5/32 drill bit, and you'll drill out the front rivet. You can probably just grind the rivet down and use a punch and knock the rivet out and just shake it out. Once you do that, you'll need to use this rear hole, and you want to move the rivet or the dimple. You want to move that underneath that hole, and you'll want to take a large punch and go down in there, put it on something metal, and take a hammer and smash that rivet flat. You want to get it as flat as possible so it'll roll back over that roller. Once you do that, it'll actually close the hole up a little bit. This hole is not critical. You don't even need to put a rivet back in this hole if you don't want to, but you could probably just use you could put a pop rivet in there if you want, just for grins and giggles. What I do is I'll use a pointed punch, and I'll just punch that hole back down till I get a slight dimple in it, and it doesn't take much. You get a slight dimple back in there, and it'll stop from going over that roller. All right, once you got the rivets knocked out, you can you're going to want to roll it back this way as far as you can. And so what you want to do is you want to roll it further. You want to move it, get a small screwdriver or something, and wiggle it around and try to slide your roller forward. And this one here, you want to roll it as far forward as possible. It'll stop there on the lower dimple. Actually, when you move it back, you can probably move it a little bit further forward again, like so, to give you a little more travel. Then you just roll it back, and there you go. Take out your little barrel, your barrel roller, and you can roll it, slide that out. Then you just roll this forward. You can do the same thing. You can just push this one, just slide it back, and boom, there you go. Easy peasy. So, on putting it back together, what you're going to want to do, you got to remember that these little dimples, the larger part faces the outsides. These dimples need to face up in the track. But you need to set this in this track first, which is the upper track. So you're going to flip it over. And you got these two dimples line up with the rivet in this dimple. This is where the track will roll in here. Same here. These two dimples and these two dimples. The track rolls between here. So if you do use lubrication, you want to put it, just in these areas. As much as these tracks probably move, you probably don't even need lubrication, but the lubrication will help prevent rust. So you want to move this one inside the dimples, put your barrel roller in there, and then you're going to move it towards this back dimple here. Then you're actually going to have to set this here. You're going to have to hold this here and just work your track back over it. Don't let your Be careful when you lean it because your barrel will get all cockeyed. Okay, once you get that one on, flip it back over and just work it to the back. Don't let it come out the back there, because it will. Then you just set your front one back in there, get it past that front dimple, drop your barrel in there. There you go. You're done. You want to work them into the same spot. You know, work this one back, work this one forward. There you go, and then you'll get your full roll. Very simple. So to place your rivet in the track, I use a 1/4 inch wrench. You just slide it in here and drop it in the hole like so. There you go. And once you set it in, you take your tapered piece of steel and you run it in here over the top of the head. There you go. There's the rivet. It's holding the rivet up. I usually tap it in just a little bit. Then you take a hammer and you just pound it. Okay, once you got your rivet, your little metal bar stuck in there, and your rivet, you just stick it on a piece of metal. There you go. You got a factory rivet back in there. Take your steel out. Take your punch. Right here. I would move this back till you're right next to the roller so you got some weight, some support underneath it. Take your punch. Couple hits. There you go. My dimple's back in it. Completed track. Another way to do the rivet, so you don't have to make this tapered metal rod, is to take a, say, any size drill, 3/16, flip it over, drill down through the rivet hole, and position this where you want it to come out, but somewhere in here, drill all the way through from the bottom through the top of this. Then take like a 1/2 inch drill bit, and after the pilot bit, just drill this out big enough to get some sort of punch through the hole. Then when you take your rivet and you'll put the rivet in from the bottom, you'll set that on top of a metal table vise, and then you can use your punch to go down through the hole and either use a hammer to beat it in from the top, or you can use a press, either a hand press or a hydraulic press, and press it that way. And that's so you don't have to make any kind of special tools. Okay guys, a quick video. Someone or a few people had concerns about the rivets that I was putting in the seat tracks. Got 2 pieces of metal, same thickness as the track and the flange that bolts to the floor of the car. Got a new rivet. You can see the rivet is nice and loose in there. It flops around. Now when you make a rivet, you're going to want to make it as tight as possible. I made this one a little floppy on purpose just to show how the rivet will function after it's been set. Okay, as you can see, I'm back over to my vise. I'm going to use the hammer and drive this rivet just like I did on the seat tracks. Alright, as you can see, the rivet is, there's no way I cannot move these pieces. Okay, it might be clamped by the 2 heads. I'm going to grind this head off to show that all the gap, that large gap I had inside the pieces, is now closed up. And with the head off, I still won't be able to move these pieces. I'm going to take my paddle wheel here. I'm going to grind that rivet that I just hammered down past the surface of this. So I'm all the way past the head into the other metal. So as you can see, I ground the head off down into the metal. Down, it's pretty deep. I've got down in there. You can't even see where the old, you can't even see where the rivet was put in there. It's so combined with this metal. And I can sit here and I can pull on this thing as hard as I can all damn day. You ain't gonna set that rivet any better than that. And I don't know how much force it's going to take, but I'm not strong enough to even think about moving that. So if you're concerned about that rivet, don't be. A little bit on the parts that I use. Go to any local hardware store. You can get these chrome plated 5/16 ball bearings. You'll need 16 for both sides of your car. You'll need to make your own rivets, or you should be able to buy some rivets that are similar. These are 1/4-inch holes, and so you need a 1/4-inch shank with a head on it. I made these myself with 100 thousandths head and 300 thousandths shank of a 1/4-inch. The barrel rollers, they're just hot rolled steel or thick wall tubing. Either one, you want them 600 thousandths in diameter, and then you want them 630 thousandths wide. The chamfer is not important. You just put a small chamfer on there. It's just so it doesn't run into the arches in the corners of the tracks. So, you know, just put an 1/8 inch or so of a 45-degree chamfer on them. Other than that, you know, I use a 3/16 drill for the dimple. I use a 5/32 for the rivet, or you can grind the rivet down really flush and probably knock it out with a punch. Either way.